Hey, Chantal. Okie dokie. Good morning, David. Chantal. Almost. Almost. Good morning, Judge. All right. Just waiting for the stream to start and then we'll get going. So, everybody should sign up for our YouTube channel. We're going to start making a lot of videos that are not public. We're going to start making a lot of videos public. So, I really think you should sign up for the channel because there will be more and more good content that you could go through. Okay. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Existing Homes Trade Room for 10-minute trades. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director. Remember, please, that all the trades we discuss are for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading futures, so trade carefully. All right. So this is our last event of the week. I wish it was a phenomenal event. Existing homes. Let's look at the daily report because that gives us an idea of what we're dealing with. And we're dealing with a coin toss, right? My favorite type of report, a coin toss. So let's look at January. Let's see what happened to us in January. It says dull, but it's a loss. It's not a dull, it was a loss. Let's look at January. I mean, a 3 to 4 tick loss is a loss. It's not dull. So I have to have a conversation. So this is one of those reports that I've been looking for a setup forever because the breakout is mediocre. It is what it is. It's not a very good setup. And it's not because we don't know what we're doing. It's not because we've done something wrong. It's because this particular news event doesn't respond consistently. And that's really the key. Inconsistent behavior makes it really difficult to create a setup. So you could see I was testing the trap trade. Now I did a lot of testing on this report because, like I said, I'm dying to find a good setup for it because there's 3 home reports. 2 of them have somewhat of an impact: existing and new homes. Pending homes is pretty minimal. It just doesn't work. Hang on. I'm hearing news in my headset. Yeah, so January was officially a canceled trade because it was 30 seconds and no fill. Now, but here's sometimes what happens. Let's be honest. Everybody doesn't keep their finger on the cancel check mark, right? So if a report says cancel in 30 seconds, it might be that, you'll head over to the check mark, the enabled button, and 5 seconds after it's supposed to be canceled, you'll cancel. Sometimes a report will fill 2 seconds after the cancel, right? After the recommended cancel. Now, if we're going to analyze results, then we have to be consistent in the way that we analyze them. So if it says 30-second cancel, then it's a 30-second cancel, not 31 seconds, not 34 seconds. So look, this is officially a cancel, but if you take real life reality into the situation, nobody would have canceled it on time unless they used the auto cancel feature in the software. And even then, it's a second after 30 seconds, right? It's a second after 30 seconds. So for most people, thank you, David, appreciate it. So for most people, a 31-second entry is not a canceled trade. Most people won't get over there and cancel it. Most people don't use the auto cancel feature. I always say that I don't like to use the auto cancel feature because I do want to have flexibility. And it just drives me crazy what I did yesterday with I mean, you know how we always say, don't let a previous trade bother you. You got to walk away from it. Every now and then, something happens. You just can't walk away. No matter how professional you are, whether you're a newbie or a complete pro, sometimes a trade or sometimes a decision will stay with you and it'll just drive you crazy. And it's just human nature. It's nobody's, it's just the way it is. And yesterday's cancel rule on the 8:30 news Thursday unemployment with building permits shouldn't have been canceled. It just shouldn't have been. I know that news is not always right on time in terms of how the cancellation rule should be used. And that's why, in general, I like to manually cancel. Bond auctions, sometimes they're late. WASD has a history of passing through its cancellation time. I never want to cancel a WASD trade. So everybody makes their own decisions. Everybody decides if they want to cancel automatically or not. I don't like to cancel automatically. I don't want to be tied down, especially with the volatility of these markets today. David, do me a favor, David, and type in the definition of triple witching day. What does that mean? Triple witching day. Okay. A whole bunch of things expire is what my memory is. And I will say this, David, we've never paid attention to it in terms of news reports because news reports, they just don't care most of the time. If it's quadruple witching or single witching day or, wizard day, news reports, they generally have a result. It's one of the things we like about news trading. So January, it really was dull. It really was a dull report. Okay. It was kind of quiet. It filled late by a second. It filled a second late. So I guess officially you could say it's a cancel. And it didn't work. It really was dull. I mean, it really was dull. Okay. So January didn't work. And then December doesn't get counted because it was 3 days before Christmas. It's not a usable test because the markets are just not behaving the same as they usually do 3 days before Christmas. And then if we go to November, November, the news came out on time and it was slightly positive. And you could just see that this report, the market doesn't seem to really respond very strongly to this report. I think that new homes has been having decent responses. And again, it was a late fill, right? So this should be a 40-second cancel, right? Really, it should be. Look, we're at 27 seconds, no fill. And it fills again like at 31 seconds. So it should not be a 30-second cancel. All you need is 2 like that, right? All you need is 2 to tell you, just increase the cancel by 5 seconds, please. Okay? This is not rocket science all the time. Sometimes it is complicated, but sometimes it's not. So I would make the cancel on this trade 45 seconds. I would make the cancel on Thursday claims 30 seconds. Okay. These are the things that I'll put in for. And let's look at one more. Let's look at October. So this is just a report that, it might work today. It certainly can work, but it's definitely not, it's just not an awe-inspiring report. So let's look at what it did in October. Whoops. Okay, so October, again, you can tell that we haven't been happy with our setup. If you see in the trade room that we're testing an alternative setup, it's because the regular setup is a coin toss. If a regular setup's a coin toss, then we've got to find an alternative for it. Okay? Got to find an alternative. If it's a coin toss for 6 months to a year, right? So I don't like to spend a Friday losing money on a coin toss. That's just not in my general trading plan. I would rather learn something that can maybe help me make money on this report going forward. So I just want to show you a couple of things that I've been working on. I'll set up the gold DMM trade, okay? Happily. So let me just record this. And I want to thank everybody for watching on YouTube this morning. If you feel like it, hit that like button and sign up for the channel so you'll know when we are streaming again. Hit the notification bell. So let's set up the DMM. So it's a bracket of 8. My notes show that on some of these medium reports that haven't been better than a coin toss, one of the problems has been getting filled on the wrong side. And look at the size of the targets. 3 ticks and 7 ticks. It's these are the really these are the reports that, you know, you really have to think hard about whether you want to risk your money on them. You want to trade, we want to trade the reports always that give us the best opportunity for making money. So the stop is 11. Targets are just 3 and 7. It's $100 profit, risking 220. Okay, so it's, you know, normally I don't look at risk to reward. However, if I were trading this live, I would not put in a target of 7 for my second target. If I wasn't just testing our setup this morning on gold, I would put in for a bigger target, because there is the possibility that you're dealing with, you know, new home sale, existing home sales. It has an inflation element to it, you know, depending on house home pricing, etc. So there's definitely inflation elements. I have not seen good reversal potential for this trade in any of my testing. So if the reversal trade was there, then my trap trade testing should have been much better than it was, and it wasn't good. And I have put in a request to get that removed from the DMM. So I'm not interested in a reversal in this, but I'll show you what I am interested in. So what I was saying is, if I were trading live real money, I would put a target of 20 in on my profit, and I'd probably make my first target at least a 5 or a 6. Okay. If you're going to trade it live, you have to, you're trading it live because you think there's going to be a response. If you look at the responses, when there is a response that works, 21 ticks, 14 ticks, 27 ticks. So I think you can make your first target 5, and then with the bracket, you need a 13 tick move. Also keeping in mind a little bit of slippage. This is a difficult report to make money on with a breakout. I mean, if you look at the numbers and you dig a little deep with your thinking, you'll see clearly that this is a report that just, you know, it's not a great breakout report, and that's the reality. Okay, so you have to decide, well, how did I do? What happened this week? Did I make money? Did anything work? Did I stay in? Some people stayed in the trade yesterday and had a really good 8:30 trade. Some people traded FOMC minutes with me. Some people traded API with me. Some people traded, you know, that there were opportunities. There's always opportunities to make money. You don't have to trade 20 times a week. Sometimes you can trade twice and have a good week. Picking and choosing is so important. It's critical. Picking and choosing. And it's not day of the week related. In other words, if this was better than a 50-50, I don't care that it's on a Friday. Doesn't matter. I'm happy to trade it. Now, I have an interesting setup on the NQ, but this is really testing that I'm not 100% on, because it's a time of day I don't usually trade the NQ. So I'm going to do it with the MNQ, but I'll do it live, okay, to see if my setup has any potential. So here's what I came up with. If you like trading the NQ, if you trade the breakout, when I went back in my testing, and the first thing I want to do is let's make sure our computers are in sync, okay? By going to the website time.is. All right? That puts my computer in sync. But here's my thinking. So there is a breakout that seems to work. But at 10 o'clock, trading the NQ on news can be tricky because I believe in my heart that there is a move on the NQ at 10 o'clock, whether there's news or not. But I did go back and do a lot of testing on this. If you absolutely want to trade the breakout, the first move is quick and it tends to reverse. So I tested with a bracket of 12 and an entry time of 59, 9:59 and 59 seconds, okay? And the targets I used were 8 and 15, 8 and 17, somewhere in there. Bracket, I think a bracket of 10 to 12 is okay. I tested with 12. But I also tested a range trade. And the reason I like the range, especially at 10, is because I can skip that initial burst, which can be a low volume, bad slippage burst also. And so what I did is I found a short little range on the NQ. And I'm going to do it on the MNQ and see what happens. And I'll do it live. So let me load my setup. I created a template, so let me load it. And I just called it existing homes NQ range test. Okay. So I'm doing 4 ticks above the range, 4 ticks below. I'm showing my graphics on the chart. And remember now, it's very important about the range trade. You don't have to worry about the bar look back like we use it in earnings. The only time you have to worry about the bar look back is when you're not using the regular range trade. The regular range trade uses time. So you're creating the range with time, okay? So you don't have to worry about anything except ticks above and below, showing your graphics, and making sure that you choose the trade type as a range trade. Then what you got to do is also make sure that you have a range start time and an activation time, an entry time. Activation equals entry. Now, listen, folks, today, with what's going on in the Ukraine, taking today off on a small report like this is not a bad idea, okay? It seems like they're on the verge. You know, it's been this way all week. It's tricky because of world events. You know, you want to protect your account. You don't have to trade these little reports, okay, when the world markets are doing what they're doing, because it's hard for the markets to overcome movements in the indexes that are being forced upon us because of world news, not new existing home sales, okay? So just keep that in mind. So you need a start time, 9:59:58, and my entry time is 10 and 2 seconds, 10:00:02. So you'll see what's going to happen if it works the way the testing has been working, and I'm trading 7 ticks and 18 ticks on my targets with a 25 tick stop. Okay. 4 ticks above, 4 ticks below. So it's a very short range. It's just a couple of seconds. But I'll try it live because I want to see if the speed of the market is viable for this trade today. Okay. But gold, I think that gold could work. Look, you've got a negative trend on gold. The gold open was something to behold today. Is Mark here? Mark, I didn't look to see if you were here. Yeah, I'm assuming you traded the gold open today. It would look perfect. Donna, 20 tick target. Yeah, four handles. See, Donna, I think you trade Forex, if I remember. But you see why this is, I might cancel the trade. This is not safe pre-trade movement, okay? It's not the kind of trade movement you want. So I may not trade it, or I might just put it in sim. It's chunking around, okay? You know, you want to be smart. You want to be smart. Four handles, if they're talking 4 points in the NQ, a tick. A tick is $5 on the NQ. It's less on the MNQ. I think it's like 50 cents on the MNQ. I think that these markets are not going to give us a good test because of what's going on in the markets. I mean, that move from 950 to just now, it's not normal, folks. This is not normal market behavior, unfortunately. So it makes testing, it makes it, you know, it makes me want to not, I don't want to throw my company's money away on a market that is acting in a way that makes the test not so meaningful. Okay. So here's what I'd rather do, because I think it makes more, I think it will help us better. It'll give us a better idea. I'm going to use the regular NQ, and I just don't see the point because the way the market's moving. It's moving the way it was moving with earnings that day, or not. I mean, it's just not moving normally. So I'll do my test, but I'll do it on the full size NQ, and I'm not really interested in throwing my boss's money away today. You know, if it was the US jobs report, I'm trading that report no matter what. I don't care what happens. I'm trading that report no matter what. This is existing homes with an NQ test that is being faced with. We just had 45, like an unbelievably huge move in the NQ minutes before the news came out. Look at these swings. Now, look, this I recognize is the market opening, but a 100% retrace of a very large opening move. What's interesting is gold might be giving you a more reasonable approach here because it's, yes, there's a trend, but it's acting a little bit more calm. Okay. It's acting a little bit more calm. Exactly, Donna. I agree 100%. At 10 o'clock, I've said this a million times, at 10 o'clock, the only people that trade the open are newbies and a few experts that have their setup to trade the open. Institutional traders don't generally trade the way that retail traders trade. They just don't. They don't sit and watch the open and trade the open. They don't. No, David, I'm not. Oh, you know what? I screwed up. Thank you. I didn't want to trade it live, and I didn't change my software. It's going to be close. Got it. Has my range. It shouldn't be on now, so I totally screwed up, which is okay. Just leave it. Anytime you have to do something in a rush. But there's the burst that I wanted to miss. Okay, so very, very quick. It was very, very quick. Gold, no response. No response. Now your range stays on, which I love. I love the fact that the range stays on. So what do we say? 35, 40-second cancel, right? On the homes. You don't want to cancel until third. There'll be a fill, right? At 30 seconds. That's what it's been doing. There's your fill. Is it a real response? It looked like a real fill, if you know what I'm saying. So all it needed to do was go 3 ticks and then 7. So let's watch. Maybe gold can still save itself. Now, here's what's interesting. There's a couple of really interesting takeaways from this. If you give me a second, I'll explain what they are. So the NQ range is over, okay? The trade is over. The gold response is pretty minimal and the news offset is very decent. There was a lot of existing homes sold, way more than expected, and a lot more than last month also. You had an initial push down. It was helpful that gold had a push down in to begin with. So it made 3 ticks, and then if you didn't protect your 3 ticks, you would have lost $80 roughly on the existing home sale. I think there's no question that we made the right decision about gold just not being all that interesting on this report. It's just not. So here's the thing that we are dealing with on the NQ at 10 o'clock. And I want to download the data. I'll show the video, but I want to download the data also and run a replay because I think it'll help analyze everything that happened here also. So just as a reminder, how do you download the data? It's very, very easy. If you want to download the trade data so you can run a replay, which is a great feature of Ninja, just go to historical data under tools, click market replay, click load, get market replay data, put today's date in, it's the 18th, and then put the contract in from today that we traded, NQ322, and download it. And I'm not dealing with that. So I've downloaded the data for a few minutes from now. But let's watch the video first. The NQ definitely filled, Donna, and would have filled unequivocally, because look at the move you had at 10 o'clock. So I think one issue is stop size, which we're always talking about. What could we have done different to capture the whole move? We captured a small part of the move with the range. I think the idea of the range is great, especially at 10 o'clock. I think the idea is good. I think the range trade, I think if you're a discretionary trader, I would be willing to bet that you could do some testing and find a 10 o'clock range setup that works with and without news. If you're a discretionary trader, I believe that you could do that. And that's what's very interesting about this time of day. So let's look at what happened though. Gold, we could just know for a fact that market just didn't seem that interested in moving gold a lot on this trade. Let's analyze gold first because it's real simple and quick. So remember, we only had a 3-tick target and we had an 8-tick bracket. Maybe the brackets are too big now for some of these small reports, but so you're wrestling always. If the bracket, let me turn the recorder back on because there might be some good educational stuff after. Give me a second to just turn it back on. Okay, so here's what I was saying. So with the gold trade working as poorly as it did, and it did work poorly, because you have to remember our target was only 3 ticks. If you have an event and it has a bracket of 8 and a target of 3, you need 11 ticks of movement, right? Plus whatever slippage you have. It would be minor slippage on a report like this. It's not a big slippage amount. So what you want to look at, things you want to look at, if you're, and we're going to have a testing workshop, and it's going to be very useful because I really believe, I say it all the time, testing is the key to making money. So if you watch, so one of the first things you got to watch when you're testing is you watch your video, and recording is a key part of testing. Record all your trades if you can. I highly recommend it. Record all your trades. So what you're watching is your brackets go on, and then you want to watch the current price. And what's great about the software, it puts the arrow on, which shows you where the current price is at the exact moment that your orders were placed on the chart. So you can see where your price is and what kind of movement you have before the news comes out, which will tell you if your bracket would have been safe or not, or maybe you could shrink it. If all the trades worked the way today's worked, you could shrink the bracket because there just wasn't a lot of movement before the trade. Okay, and that tells you if they all work this way. When you test, you have to test in this market. I would test the 2 reports. I would even make a decision on as little as 2 reports, believe it or not, 2 or 3, because the markets are so different now than they were 4 months ago or even 3 months ago. You don't want to miss all your opportunities because you're taking your testing back too far. And normally we used to test always with a 6-month window. You can't do that anymore. You can for long-term testing, but if you want to catch some of these short-term market changes, then you want to make your testing window short and be willing to take that extra risk based on a shorter testing time frame. Because if you have a shorter time frame, it's a little riskier because you don't have the reliability of 5 out of 6 reports. You have 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 2. But you could see what happened in this report very simply with gold. It filled late, not late, but 30 seconds. It took its sweet time. It was over 30 seconds. So home sales should all be probably 45-second cancels if you want to get filled. And look, it couldn't even hit our 3-tick target plus the bracket. I take that back. It hit my 3-tick target. I apologize. There's the arrow. It couldn't even go a total of 7 ticks profit. It went 4. Okay? It went 4. Now, normally, with such small targets, would you even move your stop to protect your targets? $30, or would you let it ride? Everybody would do it differently. If you tried to protect your profit, then you might have made 30 bucks. Okay. You'd have to move your target. You had time. So it was no problem making this a $30 winner. Why so small? Because the first target's 3 ticks and it didn't go but 4. All right. You then did not have an opportunity to make any more money because it changed direction and stopped you out. And that's the exact reason why I wasn't that interested in trading this with real money today, because that's what the testing has shown that this behavior has been. And yes, I know the markets are different. Yes, yes, yes. But existing homes, it's a small report. And yes, even with markets being different, it's still responding the way it always does. Okay. So you understand you have to think really creatively to get the most out of your testing. You really have to be creative. And again, that's why come into the trade room. Use my knowledge of testing to help you learn to test much faster. You don't have to start from scratch if you come into the room. Okay. Second, so now our second trade. I did a lot of testing on the NQ breakout. Now, look, we downloaded the data, right? So we can do a very quick test of the breakout really simply just by disconnecting, connecting replay or playback, put the date on today. It's the 18th. And this is quick, you'll see. And now I'm going to put my time in. Okay. And I may have to enter the time twice because that's what Ninja is doing these days. 9:59:50 is the time I put in. Why? I want to have 10 seconds before the news so I can watch the price and just be ready. Now I need to add a strategy because my strategy for NQ is a range. I'm going to leave that and add an extra strategy. So remember what I said. I said when we started the trade room that I had been testing an NQ breakout trade with a bracket of 12, targets of 8 and 16. Okay. So we'll do 7 and 17. That's fine. And I set a stop of 25. Okay. And I'm thinking the way to have been safe in this trade was probably to double the stop. And it would have been a monster trade. The entry time, I said, was 9:59:59. The beauty of testing, the beauty of replay can be slow. Our testing workshop is going to show you how to test without using replay. So you can test really fast. Testing can be quick. Okay. So this is breakout, NQ. And like I said, I may have to re-enter the time, which is fine. It's set for 9:59:50 because Ninja, it just likes to reset the time to 12 and make you reset the time, put the time in twice. They won't fix it. I can't get them to fix it. So it's not us, it's them. 9:59:50. So 10 seconds before the news, we're going to watch the NQ and see what happens on the breakout. Okay. Now, what did I forget to do? I need to change my chart to NQ. Okay. Because we're testing NQ, not gold. Now I can enable it. And now watch. Forget this clock. We're not on this clock anymore. We're on the replay clock, the playback clock. There's our bracket. Now it filled. It's very fast, the breakout. It's very fast. Okay, let's watch it again. I wish I've got to get a recorder that lets me slow down but doesn't use a lot of resources. So that's going to be a goal. Anybody have any suggestions of a program they're using that has the slow down feature but doesn't use a lot of resources? Tell me. Tell me, and I'll investigate it. So I'm so happy that everybody's staying. Thank you for staying, everybody. So now let me get my time correct. It should be 50, not 59. Okay, so let's watch it again. We're going to watch the replay, the breakout, because it's so fast. 54 seconds. Our bracket's going to be right now. So there's the bracket, okay? And it's going to be a very fast fill because at 10 o'clock, the NQ bursts. And it's going to go down first, right there. And what's fascinating is it goes through the orders. And in sim, it doesn't fill them. That means in real life, it wouldn't have either, okay? It's a low volume drop, but it's enough to fill you. And then it does eventually fill because it keeps going down. It stays in the down area. So it appears that the breakout would work. When a breakout is that fast, yes, Chantal. So YouTube folks, I want to thank everybody for watching. If you'd give us a couple of likes, and just remember, you can sign up for our trade room. If you like what you see, you can join our trade room. Here's the link, www.jointhetraderoom.com, www.jointhetraderoom.com. Come join us. It's not delayed. We'd love to see you in our trade room. Thanks, YouTube. We have to shut down the stream.